As we look across this beautiful city, it is just so obvious how divided and how unequal it really is. But we know this all too well, and it leads to increased feelings of jadedness and cynicism as we ponder on how did we get here and what are we even doing about it. But when we begin to engage with the people that are most impacted by this growing gap, this growing divide, this inequality, it is then that our hearts are really moved. The 18-year-old who's passed matric with flying colours, who cannot afford tertiary education or even access work opportunities. The young primary school child who's in a class of 50 other learners and is unable to learn to read. Or the infants whose potential is stunted because of the circumstances in which they have been born. For some, it may seem that God has abandoned them in their greatest need, but we know that He hasn't. But it may appear this way if the church isn't seeking justice and proclaiming and demonstrating the abundant love of Christ. We are called to step into this gap and join God in His work. At Common Good, we are passionate about the local church being true to its commission to be the hope of the world. Common Good is at work in this gap, committed to building a more equitable society through a mobilized and inspired church community. We were birthed out of Common Ground Church, and thanks to a survey that was conducted in 2012 in this community, we focused our time and energy on addressing the challenges associated with early life, education and employment, all in partnership with local congregations. In this time, we've celebrated the joy of partnering with mothers and their unborn children, the youngest and most vulnerable members of our society. If we are to see lasting change in this nation, we have to start here, ensuring that our children receive the necessary building blocks of love, stimulation, nutrition and safety to set them up for success. We recognize that the first 1,000 days of a child's life are key in preparing them to realize their full potential. And so our work in this area is focused on partnering with pregnant mothers and caregivers, exchanging skills, ideas, and the love of Christ, vital for nurturing young lives. We're also strengthening our research capacity to better understand the role of the local church in this critical life phase. Recently, an article in The Economist described South Africa as having one of the worst education systems in the world. We are determined that children attending non-fee paying schools can realize their God-given potential through access to excellent education. Common Good has recently partnered with the Western Cape Education Department, birthing a brand new model of school at the cutting edge of innovation. And what we're seeing is that God is bringing people and teams and leaders together to ensure that improved education becomes a reality in this country. In the toughest of contexts, where schools have been written off as impossible to change or turn around, we are seeing change. Learners and teachers are much safer. Strong leadership has been recruited into the system. Committees and teams are being formed to address key challenges and deficits in the system. Teachers are being mentored and coached. Mindsets are changing. Parents are more engaged. Learners are more supported. And in all of this, the gospel is being made known. By 2020, we will be responsible for 5 non-fee paying schools, and we've been commissioned to establish a growing network of Common Good collaboration schools. These schools will be incubators of innovative interventions, places where educational excellence becomes a possibility. We must take bold strides in education if we are to address the staggering 25% unemployment rate in our nation and the ever-widening gap of inequality that it fuels. Through the Zanakanya Network Common Goods Employment Initiative, we bring gospel hope and real opportunities to our brothers and sisters trapped in cycles of poverty and unemployment. To date, thousands of people have benefited from our job readiness journey, which equips the unemployed with the skills they need to seek and secure meaningful work, and serves as a bridge to networks of opportunity. As a result, many people have come to faith in Christ, and breadwinners are experiencing afresh the dignity of work. This year we're aiming for 1,000 job readiness graduates, and by the end of 2019 we hope to have established, in partnership with local congregations, 20 Zanakanya Network access points for unemployed people throughout our city. In spite of these efforts and the impact that they're having, we will only really see South Africa becoming a just society when thousands upon thousands of Christ followers wholeheartedly and passionately pursue justice and show love for our neighbours. Through intentional engagement and awareness, relationship building across divides, advocacy, prayer, acts of compassion and generosity. Common Good is committed through our Just Church initiative to inspiring, mobilizing, challenging and walking with you fellow congregants as together we seek the shalom of the city. It's a huge vision, a vision where the local church has grown in perseverance and commitment to more sustainably breaking the chains of injustice and writing a new hopeful chapter in the life stories of thousands of people across our city. Imagine 20 unemployment sites, a growing network of collaboration schools, hundreds of young lives flourishing, and a groundswell of Christ followers humbly pursuing justice. All of this culminating in a transformed, more relevant, more engaged local church. Common Ground, as we seek to multiply compassion and justice, we're inviting you to dream with us and to dream big. Don't let your despair or discomfort or your cynicism or fatigue cause you to shrink back. It is a long, hard journey, but it is a journey that is worth taking, and we are already on our way. Together, we can co-create a better future for our city, where the local church really does become the hope of the world. Will you join us?